Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Brightwell, and today we're joined by our new Director of Athletics, Dr. Ed Scott. And Dr. Scott, what an outstanding day Friday for the press conference. Welcome to Memphis. Tell us a little bit about what you saw in the university and why Memphis. I know you've been answering that question before, but we want to hear it again.
Well, look, I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. I guess no pun intended on that one. But most importantly, it started with the university, right? I feel like I represent what this university stands for. Looking at the demographics of the city, looking at the mission about access, opportunities, and outcomes, it's just something that spoke to me. You know, my wife and I are both first-generation college graduates. There's a large portion of our students here that represent that. So I want to be a role model for the people who come behind me, both students and student athletes. So, and then Memphis, the city, I think it's just a special place. There's a lot of pride, and it's unique. And I want to learn about it, and I want to contribute to it. So I'm really excited to be part of the community.
Anyone can kind of go back and look at your background, but let's take a look at just a couple of the highlights. You were the National Athletic Director of the Year at Morgan State. You took over a program at Morgan State, which provided a lot of challenges, and it did not take long. It may have seemed long to you, but in a span of 5 to 6 years, the way you elevated that program was outstanding.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment, but the key was the team, and you heard me talk about this a lot today, right? People who's around me in service. I was able to recruit some folks at Morgan State that even I didn't know I could recruit that well, because we built a collective vision and they felt like they were a part of it and they wanted to be part of something special. Dr. Wilson gave me the bandwidth to be able to do it, and he gave me the discretion. I feel a lot of that with Dr. Hargrave, President Hargrave, thus far. So there were a lot of similarities there. And when you talk about the Cushman Wakefield AD of the Year, the most ironic part about that is this. They nominated me for that after I took the Virginia job. So I actually accepted that award as the deputy at Virginia. And I think that speaks to the place that Morgan State is and the type of people that they have, that they knew I was leaving and they felt so strongly about the job we did, they still nominated me. So
you've spoken in some interviews that I've seen since it was announced you were our Director of Athletics about what you did there and what you Virginia, and kind of your philosophy is, regardless of what you have, do more with less.
Of course.
Find a way to get things done.
Yeah.
And I thought when you took the job at Memphis, of course, we have resources that a lot of schools don't have.
Yeah.
Obviously not a P5 school at this point, but you take a look at what the university's done here at Memphis, whether it's integrated communications or video or marketing, and they get such a big bang for their buck. Was that kind of a big hook for you to come into?
I don't know if it was a big hook, but it was definitely a hook, right? I think what happens now is we're looking at a different model of college athletics. You have an institution that's willing to partner with you on that. So that's the starting point, I guess the starting hook, if you will. I think the other thing was just looking at what Memphis has already done and how can we tell the story differently. When I started doing my research for the job, I was blown away when, like, the fact I brought up the eighth longest consecutive bowl streak in America. Like, most people don't know that. I didn't know that, right? And in front of us in number 7 is Ohio State. Like, think about the rarefied air you're in with that, right? And then again, I also think this community is different. I talked about Louisville. I think Louisville provides some secrets and some codes for us on what we want to look like in the future. We're not exactly Louisville, but I do think we can aspire to do some of the things they've done and build into the city the way Louisville has. And so when you start looking at all those components together, it just becomes a no-brainer for me. You know, and then you talk about Morgan State, and I'm sorry to be long-winded, but this is really important for me. The Morgan State process taught me a lot about doing more with less. And I took that to Virginia, and we were able to do some creative things at Virginia because they were looking at it the same way. And Virginia doesn't have all the resources that every other Power 5 does. You know, Virginia has approximately $135, $140 million budget, but they have 27 sports and 819 student athletes, the 6th largest athletic department in America.
So when you're vetting the University of Memphis, when it's kind of getting near the end, and you're vetting and you want to see things and what you kind of talked about, what did you see in Memphis as far as, and I know we're limited on time, but challenges yet tremendous opportunities?
Yeah, I think we face the same challenges as everybody else, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the House case and how we're going to manage that, but we got to come up with scenarios for that. I think uniquely we have some issues that we got to do with the stadium, but we have the support there for it. So while there's the challenge, there's the opportunity. And then the biggest thing for me is this. I think at a certain point, people culture and strategy will trump resources. You have to have enough to get in the game. I equate it to poker, right? The person who starts at the table with the biggest stack usually doesn't win. But you got to have enough to ante up and get in the game. We certainly have enough to ante up and get in the game. Now, how do we make that stack bigger? How do we use it strategically to go after what we want, to do it the way that Memphis wants? We're not going to be Tennessee. We're not going to be Virginia, and I don't want to be. I want to be Memphis, and I want to be something that this city and this university can be really proud of.
Also, when you looked at the university, and as you now are our director of athletics, you look at an athletic department that is in an extremely healthy position. That's got to be unique when you take a job that I'm taking a position in a department right now that's probably as healthy as it's ever been.
Well, you know, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And so if we look around at what everyone else has and we say what we don't have, that's going to be our mindset, right? And you'll learn a lot about me as far as the quotes, right? There's a lot of quotes I pay attention to, and there's one that says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so it's all a matter of perspective. And when I looked at Memphis, all I see is opportunities. The challenge is we can pivot those and make them opportunities. So for me, we're healthy. I think there are three levels to athletic departments and programs, teams within the athletic department. Number one is, are you healthy? Number two is, are you relevant? And number three is, are you thriving? And I think we've definitely hit 1 and 2 here. We're relevant. There's no doubt about it. And now how do we become a thriving enterprise? And that's what my goal is going to be.
After your press conference on Friday, of course, we do what anyone else does. You jump on social media to see what the opinion was after the press conference, and not just quote unquote winning the press conference, but Memphis a unique city, and people take things very personal. And the message that you gave, not only about the school, but about the city, I think really hit home.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's a compliment. I'm just saying what I feel. I'm a different athletic director in this sense. I've been in the seat before, so I know my leadership style. There's a level of, I hope, authenticity and vulnerability that I'll be able to give the folks around here to allow them to come in and be part of what we're doing. And I know, for better or worse, as long as that little 5-year-old who was answering those questions in the press conference and my wife love me, then that's what I'm being measured on, right, every day. Because I'm going to serve with everything I have, right? That's just I don't know how else to do it. So when I look at the whole package, I'm not going to look at social media tonight. I'm going to go home and hang out with my buddies who came. We're going to eat a good dinner, and I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. And then I've already asked Scott if I can get a copy of the press conference, and he reminded me I'm silly. It's on ESPN Plus because it was live. And then I'm going to break down my own film and see how I can get better for Memphis, for the university, and for our athletic department.
All right, let's get away from business for a couple minutes. I know we're pressed on time, but
it's all good.
Tell me about the family. Tell me what the reaction was when you said, I'm looking at Memphis and I'm going to accept this position, and kind of how they enjoyed the day on Friday.
I think you heard it in the media scrum, right? You know, I told my wife, she's like, you got to pick up Tia from school because I got to get her to the dentist, and it's your night for bath night. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just became not only the AD, the senior vice president. That's a big deal for a guy who loves higher education and has a PhD. And she's like, I don't care about any of that, right? So what it does is it keeps me grounded. And growing up without a father, being a father is really important to me, and I don't know how to do it. So it's like building the plane while you're flying it. So for me, the family part is everything. My wife was all in from Jump Street. She didn't want to jinx anything, so she didn't look at real estate. She didn't look at schools. And then when I told her, she started scrambling. And we didn't tell my daughter till yesterday because she was really excited about going to kindergarten with some of her friends. And the only thing she said to me was, Daddy, you promised me if we move, you're going to give me a pool. So it sounds like I'm going to be looking for a house with a pool because I have no other option. So the family's all in, and we're super excited to get here and get started.
All right. The big question that people really want to know in Memphis now, okay, what kind of barbecue guy are you?
You know, I'm a brisket guy. I don't do a lot of pork. That's not really my thing, but I love me some brisket. So if you're smoking a brisket, I'm all in on it. I like mesquite, you know, smoky barbecue as well. I'll do a little bit of spicy. I'm okay with that. But I'm excited. But I think it's going to put some weight on me. I haven't eaten a lot in the last probably 48 hours because I've been on the run. But I'm really excited to see what Memphis has. And then my wife wants something in the backyard, so she's already been paying attention. So I can't wait. I can't wait. I also heard it's a foodie town beyond just barbecue, right? President Hargrave told me that he ate at 24 different places in his first 28 days, and none of them were chain restaurants. That I am super excited about.
Outside of barbecue and the food, as we wrap it up, what are you most forward? What are you looking forward to the most outside of Tiger Athletic, just as
Yeah.
far as the city itself?
Honestly, being back in the city, I'm more of an urban type of creature. I think my wife didn't think she was. We got to Charlottesville, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the country, right? It's a destination in and of itself. But to be back in an urban setting, I also think learning the people, learning more about the history, the culture, right? The music. There's so much music that has come from here that I didn't know about until I just started doing some research, and then connecting with the people. I want to be the people's athletic director. So I'm going to hear some things I don't love at times. I know that. But I also want people to feel like I'm approachable, that I'm somebody that they can connect with. I met with the football team, and they gave me a rousing ovation, and we brought it in, and we bumped a couple guys and stuff. That's what I want. I want people to feel like he's our guy, he's touchable, and the only way I can do that is get out and about. The last thing I will tell you, because I like to dress, my Memphis blue, my royal blue game is not there. So if there's some bespoke or custom folks in town that want to give an AD a name, image, and likeness deal, I think my contract might not let me get paid for it, but I can do a sponsorship and some trade. Me personally, I'm all in on that. So I hope I get some phone calls about that, because I know they can dress down here.
Yeah, that sounds outstanding. Dr. Scott, as an alumni, really impressed with you.
Thank
and
you.
the little time I've been able to spend with you, I think it's going to be a great fit. Welcome to Memphis.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to serving you and doing the best I can, and this will be one of many conversations we have.
Thanks a lot. That's Dr. Ed Scott. I'm Jeff Brightwell. Thanks for joining us, and go Tigers.